Hey there! Welcome to another video in my series Boy Scout Knives of the Greatest Generation. This time around I have the very first official Boy Scout knife that the Ulster Knife Company made. Ulster was one of the oldest U.S. knife companies. They were founded by cutlers from Sheffield, England in 1872. About 4 years later, in 1876, they were acquired by Dwight Devine and Sons. Bought by Albert and Henry Bear in 1941, and then ultimately bought again by Imperial Knife Company of Providence, Rhode Island in 1947. But Ulster started making Boy Scout knives in 1923, so this is the new knife that I want to show you. And they just made this knife for like 4 years, from 1923 to 1926. They changed to a very similar knife. It's the same pattern, but there's significant differences. And this version was made from 1927 to 1940. So I have to think this is a rarer knife. It's only made for 4 years versus this one, which was made for 14. And this one being earlier, the Scout program was probably smaller, and enrollment was probably lower, and they sold fewer Scout knives, I would think, although the Great Depression in the 30s might have affected enrollment in the Boy Scout program and the number of knives that were sold too. But I do know that this knife was much harder to find than these examples. I've been looking for quite a while to find this one in good shape and at a decent price. So I finally found one and want to share it with you. I'll show you what the differences are. But first of all, just a little more background. New York Knife Company had a monopoly on Boy Scout knives up until 1923. And then two other companies, Ulster and Remington, started making Boy Scout knives. So they were number 2 and 3 kind of together to start making knives in 1923. The Remingtons seemed to be really popular, and the Ulsters sometimes kind of overlooked. But from my experience, I found that the Ulsters are really, really well made, and I've had fewer problems with the ones of those that I've bought than the Remingtons. Okay, so this is a 3 5/8 inch knife, 4-bladed Scout utility pattern, and it's Boy Scout number 1502. Now, Ulster did make a 3 3/8 starting also in 1923, and its number was 1503. They did that in both of these versions. But I just collect the bigger ones when I can, so these are the 1502s. Manufacturer's number is 47553L5, in case anybody cares. Both of these you can see have brown jigged bone scales. They both carry what they call the interstate type shield. I've also heard that called just the shield. Just a couple other differences real quick on the exteriors. You'll notice that the older one, the one from 1923 to 1926 there on your left, does not have a threaded bolster or lined bolster, whereas the later version, the one made from 27 up through 1940, does. Back to the shield, sometimes those eagles face to the right. These are both facing to the left. I don't know why, but I've read that. I've not seen one myself. Another just slight difference is both of them have 3 pins on the front, but the older one carries 4 pins on the back. I don't know if you can pick that up. And the later version is 3 pins on the back as well. Now, to me, the older one looks like it has a little thinner brass separator there in the middle, which makes the knife just slightly narrower, I think. The jigging pattern looks a little different as well, but that could be down to just variations in the machining or time. But one thing that is definitely different is the older one has a much different shaped bail. It's just bigger around. You can see that. It doesn't really protrude any further, but it's just much bigger around, like quite a loop. So those are the differences I found on the outside. To the tools, and let's start with the first gen first, and let's take a look at the screwdriver cap lifter. It's the old short and stubby style, and it does have a Tang Stamp, and it simply reads Ulster on the first line, Knife Company on the second, and New York on the third. The newer one, discontinued in 1940, has a longer, more slender screwdriver cap lifter, Its Tang Stamp is just slightly different, and it is Ulster first line, knife second line, Co third line. Now the can openers are different. This is the old one-piece design with this vertical lift tab that has a notch cut in the scale to access. The second generations, they had what was called a three-piece can opener. And where you get the three pieces is the main body, this little knob, and then the base that it sits on. And I'll just tell you that these are a lot more comfortable to open than the old style. Next tool we're going to look at is the punch or awl. They are pretty much the same. I just noticed that they were milled a little different at the base. The older one there is cut into the base, where the newer one is not. I don't know if that was just down to these specific knives and the way they were machined that day, or if that's a general difference. I don't know enough to tell you that. I've not seen enough of these older ones to be able to tell you if they're all like that. Other than that, they look pretty much the same. And then finally the blades. And I just love this blade on this old one. First of all, it's got a half stop, whereas the next generation did not have that half stop. It's got a nice firm half stop. And you can see it also has a long nail pull, which really accentuates that swedge. And the cool thing is they kind of stop the swedge halfway back on the other side too. So it's really a great looking blade. This one has a Tang Stamp. That reads Ulster first line, Knife Co second line, New York third line, just like the screwdriver. And the newer one, whoops. The newer one doesn't have a half stop. It's got the crescent short nail pull, and its Tang Stamp's just a little different. This one is Ulster, and then the second line, Dwight Devine, and the third line, and Sons. Now, that Tang Stamp you could find on either one of these, the first gen or the second gen. They both kind of came with the just plain Ulster Tang Stamp, and also with the one that specified Dwight Devine and Sons. Okay, so that's been a look at the very first Ulster official Boy Scout of America knife. I'm happy to bring you that. That'll probably be it for me and videos for 2019. I'll probably be back in 2020. There are a couple of specific knives I'm on the hunt for. Should I be fortunate enough to get my hands on those, I'll certainly make videos on those. Maybe make a couple videos on something more of general interest as well. If you're new to my channel, I literally have hundreds of videos. So feel free to poke around, dig around in there. I've got them organized by playlists. This playlist, Boy Scout Knives of the Greatest Generation. I've got a playlist on Wenger knives, on Swiss soldier knives, on vintage Swiss Army knives, collecting and restoring. I've got one on Dave Arnold's collection. I've got one on every knife that I ever put up for sale on this channel too. So a lot of videos there. Some better than others, but a lot of good information. So if you're new to the channel, you got a lot of material there you can go through if you'd like. Hey, I really just want to take this opportunity to say that while I'm appreciative of all my viewers, of course, I'm especially thankful to those of you who are engaged enough in my channel to subscribe and comment and like my videos when they deserve it. So thank you guys. I appreciate all the support through the years, and I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. If you celebrate something else, happy holidays to you, but I hope that 2020 is a very prosperous and healthy year for you and your loved ones. And as always, thanks for watching.